Race 2 of the Kenyan Downhill Skateboarding Championship is being held at a place we call Fort Hall. Fort Hall is a semi-challenging downhill road. It features a handful of challenging corners that are going to make this an interesting race. The winning strategy on this road may sometimes be as simple as making sure you get down in one piece. With all the twists and turns and how challenging the track is, it's very easy for your opponent to make a mistake.
Anyway, my name is Emmanuel.
Yeah, my name is Blaze.
My name is Andrew.
My name is Abugaroni. As you guys know, I'm 2022 downhill
Shut up.
Kenyan skateboarding champion, reigning champ.
Solely because I let him win.
How is it going? So for me, last time, as you all know, those who care about me, I had a foot injury. Not that you care, but I did.
Yeah, how did the last race go?
Actually pretty exciting. The close races, the that part Manu went in between like 4 people with like
Yeah, that one. What?
Don't get over yourself. Don't get over yourself.
I'm the person to watch, man. I'm the person.
Yeah, and also that last race, how close that finish was. It was nice. Yeah.
Anyway, have you guys been preparing for the race actually?
Nom. I've been eating. I've been eating a lot more, trying to gain weight. Yes, I think weight is also a factor when it comes to racing. So
I'm fully recovered. I'm just going to make sure that I don't overskate much so that I don't want to re-injure myself.
you're not going to go hard.
Yeah, I'm going to go hard but careful.
With protection. This event will feature 2 types of racing. The first will be a time trial, and the faster you time, the more points you're going to score. The second will be a head-to-head race where everyone gets to race against each other at least once. And hopefully this type of races will give our racers the experience they need to get comfortable skating aggressively shoulder to shoulder.
And.
Good morning! Good morning! Good morning!
How do you feel? Good morning. How do you feel? Morning. How do you feel?
Morning, I feel excited. I like how the weather is today. The road looks good so far. So I'm really excited.
Why so serious?
See how we need to do.
How do you feel? Good morning. How do you feel about today?
We've not started the race and I feel tired. Very tired.
How do you feel?
Yeah,
How do you feel?
Great, energetic. Yeah, waiting to beat these guys.
This is going to be exciting. Everyone is super excited, I think.
Yeah.
We all want to see what the other person is capable of.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting.
Leading into the race, spectators should make note of the 4 most challenging corners. The first left is pretty slow but can be a tricky corner to get correct. Racers are going to try to maximize the speed through this corner, and that can lead to very easy mistakes. The next left is even more tricky. At 60 km per hour, racers need to take this corner as fast as they can while staying within the lane. This can be a little bit scary. Next is a right-hand turn the riders need to slow down for. It's pretty tricky to get correct and riders often find themselves off the road. And finally, you have a fast right-hander that's pretty difficult to get correct. These corners will be the ones that make or break our contestants' races. We'd like to thank our sponsor 88 Wilco for providing all the wheels we'll be using for these races. Abuga is first up on the time trial block. Let's see what time he can set.
1, 2, 3.
And away we go. Abuga pushes in as hard as he can, ensuring he has a decent amount of speed leading up to the first corner. Each racer is going to have 2 time trial runs. This will allow them to improve on previous runs or have a backup run in case they're disqualified from the first run. Abuga makes short work of the top section, maintaining his tuck around the first right-hand corner. Leading up to this difficult section, he air brakes and sheds a little bit of speed to ensure that he takes this corner as tidy as possible, quickly getting back into his tuck. The tuck is an aerodynamic position that allows him to cut through the air as efficiently as possible, minimizing how much air resistance slows him down. And because Abuga is able to maintain his tuck around the many corners on this circuit, he's able to go really fast. Basically, the longer you stay in your tuck, the more fast you go. Coming up, he has this difficult left-hand section. Abuga stands up to air brake and is able to take a tidy line through this corner, making through it no problem. He quickly gets back in his tuck so that he can maintain a lot of speed on this uphill section. And as we approach this difficult right-hand turn that contestants need to slide for, let's see what Abuga does. He air brakes to slow down a little bit and start sliding. He doesn't take the best of lines through it, but he's able to keep things on the road. Here again, he air brakes to reduce some of the speed for this difficult right-hand turn. Again, he keeps things tidy and takes this corner as conservative as possible, and it poses no problem for him. All that's left is this bottom section, and hopefully Abuga will come away with a decently fast time. Abuga sets a time of 2:26. Happy with this time, Abuga chooses not to set another qualifying run. Qualifying next is Blaze. Let's see how he does.
2, 1.
Blaze pushes in as hard as he can to maximize how much speed he carries into this top section. Taking the first right-hand corner, Blaze is able to maintain his tuck and maintain his speed, but he loses his balance and has to break tuck. Let's see how he takes the first left-hand corner. Takes a pretty tight entry line and has to scrub in order to keep himself from washing out over the yellow line. This is going to cost him some speed. Blaze then tries to push to recover some of the speed he lost from scrubbing out. Blaze once again pushing to maximize how much speed he's able to carry into this section. He tucks around this mellow corner and this is going to net him a really nice top speed. Tucking around this corner, Blaze starts lifting his chest in order to start air braking for this difficult left-hander that's coming up. Let's see how he takes it. He takes a pretty tight entry line, but is able to make it through with no problem. And he quickly gets back in his tuck for this uphill section. Approaching the scary right-hand corner, let's see how Blaze takes it. Blaze is able to start slowing down early enough and is able to take a decent line to this corner. It's not the best, but it's tight enough to give him a really fast time. Let's see how he handles this fast right-hand gripper. Starts turning in a little bit too late and he has to slide to avoid from washing out. This is going to negatively affect his time. Rounding out the last right-hand mellow corner, Blaze finishes but is unhappy with his time. He is going to take his second time trial run. Next up we have Emmanuel. Let's see how he does.
3, 2, 1.
Emmanuel, carrying a decent amount of speed, approaches the first right-hand corner. He breaks his tuck, takes his corner a bit more conservatively, but this is going to hinder his maximum speed. He takes this left-hander pretty conservatively as well, scrubbing out a little bit. He did make it through this corner, however because of his conservative approach he didn't carry a lot of speed through, and Emmanuel tries to push in to recover some of the speed that he lost. Approaching this right-hand corner, Emmanuel breaks tuck again in order to take this corner conservatively. However, this will hinder his maximum speed. Emmanuel isn't getting back in tuck as quickly and doesn't seem as balanced as usual. There must be something wrong with this board. He breaks tuck again for this corner, and breaking tuck as often as he has been is definitely going to hinder his ultimate time. He starts air braking for this corner and takes a very tight line. Unfortunately, this leads to him going over the yellow line, and this means his run is disqualified. Fortunately, he does have one more he can make use of, so he can still set a decent time. Manuel, tell us what happened.
My foot wasn't gripping on the board as good as I wanted it to, and yeah, my foot positioning was off, so I found myself on the other lane. But yeah, I'm going to try again and see.
Leaving Emmanuel to clean up his board, let's join Brandon on his time trial run. Brandon pushes in as hard as he can, and hopefully this will give him a decent amount of speed leading up to the first corner. Approaching the first right hand corner, Brandon brakes stuck in order to take this corner conservatively. However, this will hinder how fast he makes it down the track. Braking tuck again, he takes this corner as conservatively as he can. However, he takes a bad line and goes over the yellow line. Unfortunately, Brandon is disqualified from this run, but fortunately he has one more he can make use of. Joining with Brandon once again at the start line, let's see what he can do. Approaching the first corner again, Brandon takes it as conservatively as before. However, leading up to this left, he foot brakes, so he's going slower than before, and is able to take this corner with no problem. However, because he went so slow, he pushes in order to gain a little bit more speed, so he's able to make it down this next section as quickly as possible. He brakes his tuck again but maintains aerodynamic shape as he approaches this tricky left-hand corner. Let's see what Brandon does. He takes a tight entry line and turns really early, and this leads to him washing out over the yellow line. Unfortunately for Brandon, both his time trial runs have been disqualified. Brandon gets 0 points in the time trials but can make up for it in the races. Let's again join Blaze, who's looking to make an improvement on his previous time trial time. Coming around the first right hand corner, Blaze brakes stuck this time, taking it as conservatively as possible. Approaching the left hand corner, he takes a pretty tight entry line and has to scrub considerably, and this loses him some speed. However, he does make it around the corner. Blaze then pushes as hard as he can to claim back some of that speed that he lost. Coming around this right hand corner, Blaze maintains his tuck, and this will give him a decent top speed. Approaching this corner, Blaze brakes his tuck, and I think this was in an effort to air brake for this upcoming corner, so let's see how he's able to take it. He takes a pretty tight line, but he's able to make it through with no problem, fending off some wobbles there too. Coming up the hill, let's see how Blaze takes this right hand corner. He slides a little bit too late, and as a result, he slides off the road. It seems the skin of his wheels has totally come off, so Blaze is skating with limited grip. However, Blaze pushes in as aggressively as he can, and hopefully this won't affect his ultimate time too much. Let's see how he takes this right hand corner. Again, taking it conservatively, he takes a decent line and is able to make it through with no problem. Unfortunately for Blaze, despite having a great top section, he is unable to make an improvement on his earlier time. Last but not least, let's join Emmanuel. Remember, all he needs to do is make it down the road without falling as Blaze did, and he'll have a much better time. In what can only be described as very stylish carving, Emmanuel sheds off a bit of speed for this upcoming corner. He does this so that he can take it as conservatively as possible. Managing to take a tidy line through this corner, Emmanuel has lost a considerable amount of speed, so he pushes in an effort to gain some of that speed back. Coming up on these two mellow right hand corners, Emmanuel takes them as conservatively as possible. Approaching the tricky left hand corner that caught him out, Emmanuel gives us more of that stylish carving to shed off a bit of speed, and he takes a really tidy line through, keeping everything in his lane this time. Coming up on this right hand corner, let's see how Emmanuel's able to make it through. He slides quite late and doesn't take the best line through, but he stays on his board, which is better than some other races. Let's see how he's able to make it through this right hand turn. He takes a really good line through it and is able to carry a lot of speed. All that's left is this bottom section that should be really easy for him. Emmanuel once again gives us a very stylish way to take this corner, and he's able to make it through. Despite falling twice, Blaze is able to come up with the time 2 seconds faster than Emmanuel's. It seems Emmanuel's strategy of stylish carving and very conservative skating did not pay off. Abuka is far ahead of the pack in first place with a time of 2 minutes 26 seconds. And the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's get some head-to-head races underway. First up, we have Abuga versus Blaze. Starting out, Blaze is able to push out ahead of Abuga. Hopefully he'll be able to hold this lead all the way down to the finish line. However, Abuga does have the draft on Blaze, and with the draft he should be able to pass him fairly easily. Drafting is when you sit behind your opponents, and because they're ahead of you, they do majority of the work of cutting through the air. This means you get a lot less air resistance and you're able to go much faster than you usually would if there was no one in front of you. Drafting is one of the tools a racer can use to pass their opponent. Coming on the first right hand corner, Abuga takes this corner in the most aerodynamic way possible. Blaze breaks stuck, and if he wants to catch Abuga, he's going to have to maintain his stuck as much as he can. Coming up on the first left hand corner, Abuga takes it conservatively, slides a little bit and makes the corner no problem. Blaze takes a much tighter entry line and as a result scrubs out quite a bit of speed. And as a result he has to push in order to try to catch Abuga. Coming into the middle section, Abuga seems to be pulling far ahead of Blaze. What can Blaze do to catch this guy? Hopefully Abuga makes a mistake in the next section and Blaze will be able to catch up to him quite easily. Coming up onto this risky left hand corner, let's see how Blaze takes it. He takes quite the tight entry line, and as a result one of his wheels go over the yellow line. Unfortunately for Blaze, he is disqualified from this race, and Abuga is able to make it down to the finish line, making this a fairly uncontested victory for him. Up next we have Brandon and Emmanuel. Brandon manages to push out ahead of Emmanuel. Fortunately, like Abuga, Emmanuel does have Brandon's draft, so he should be able to catch up to him fairly easily. Also, Emmanuel being the heavier rider means he'll be able to go much faster than Brandon. This is turning out to be an exciting race. Coming up to the first corner, they both decide to take it conservatively, both of them breaking tuck. Brandon crouches down and takes it as gently as he can, and Emmanuel does the same. Coming up to the first left-hand corner, Brandon sheds some speed with a little foot brake and takes this corner as conservatively as he can. And he makes it just by the skin of his teeth. Emmanuel does the same, but it takes a really wide entry line and washes out over the yellow line. Let's see what happened. Emmanuel takes too wide of a line, completely missing the apex, and he scrubs out, making him go over the yellow line. This spells the end of Emmanuel's race, and Brandon is able to make it down to the finish line fairly uncontested as well. Next up we have Blaze versus Emmanuel. Emmanuel manages to push out ahead of Blaze. Let's see if Blaze can catch him. Right behind Emmanuel, Blaze starts drafting him. I wonder who's gonna come out on top in this race. As Blaze catches up to Emmanuel, he starts to pass him. Successfully making a pass on Emmanuel, Blaze leads into the first corner. Let's see how they both take it. They both decide a conservative approach, and they both make it through the corner pretty easily. Let's see how they do on this first left-hand corner. Oof, Emmanuel washes out, but what exactly happened? Emmanuel, worried about Blaze's scrubbing on the corner, took a wider line than usually would, and this resulted in him scrubbing, and as a result, he died of death. Very sad. Whether on purpose or not, Blaze's tactic paid off and he got a fairly uncontested run all the way down to the finish line. Next up we have Brandon versus Abuga. Brandon manages to get the best push off the line and pushes far ahead of Abuga. Hopefully he holds his lead all the way down to the finish. But Abuga is squarely in Brandon's draft. Hopefully he's gonna catch him. However, it seems Abuga has decided to curve and shed off a little bit of speed. I don't think he wants to pass Brandon just yet. Leading up to the first corner, they both decide to take it fairly conservatively. Behind Brandon, Abuga does the same, shaving off quite a bit of speed. Abuga takes this corner conservatively, foot braking to shave off a bit of speed. But oops, what has happened to Brandon ahead of him? Let's find out. Taking a different approach from his usual foot brake tactic, Brandon goes full send for this corner. He makes the apex but has too much speed for the exit of the corner, washes out and falls on his bum. You can see the pain on the poor boy's face. After relishing in the defeat of his competitor, Abuga makes an uncontested run all the way down to the finish, scaring some of the local kids on the way down. This is Abuga's second victory. Up next we have Abuga versus Emmanuel, but they're both pushing in so slow. Come on guys, what is this? A free ride? Don't you both want to win? Emmanuel does manage to make it out ahead of Abuga. Abuga hasn't gotten in stuck yet. I wonder what his strategy is. Coming up to the first corner, Abuga gets into Emmanuel's draft. Into the first corner, Abuga manages to make a pass on the inside of Emmanuel. Into the first left-hand corner, these slowpokes take it as easy as they can. Emmanuel manages to make it through cleanly, and this is the first race where he's managed to make it through that corner. Emmanuel chooses not to make a pass on Abuga and stays behind him, waiting for the right moment to do so. These boys are hauling ass now, and they're going pretty fast. Let's see how they manage this quick left-hand corner. Emmanuel initiates his turn at the right moment, hits the apex and gets the outside of the corner, getting the perfect outside-inside-outside line. He has enough speed to now make a pass on Abuga. Abuga, perhaps strategically, lets Emmanuel pass him. Let's see what they both do for this fast right-hand corner they both need to slow down for. Emmanuel ahead of Abuga initiates his slide, but he's not able to get a good angle out of it and washes out a little bit. Abuga, getting a better angle out of his slide, takes a much better line than Emmanuel and makes a pass on his inside. But Emmanuel is not too far behind Abuga and he can still catch him. Emmanuel takes a perfect line to the right hand corner and hopefully should have enough speed to catch Abuga. Unfortunately, he's not getting back into his tuck quick enough, so I don't think he's going to be able to catch him. Unfortunately for Emmanuel, Abuga takes his next victory fairly easily, making it 3 for 3 for him. Next up, we have Brandon vs Blaze. These two rivals never fail to provide an entertaining race, and hopefully they don't let us down this time. Brandon managed to get out ahead of Blaze, but Blaze drafts him and manages to make a pass on him. Sensing Blaze is passing him, Brandon opts to stand up and let the guy pass him by. Coming up to the first corner, they both decide to take it relatively conservative. Making it to the first left-hand corner, they both manage to make it through, but Brandon takes a much better line than Blaze, who scrubs on the exit line. Sensing he scrubs too much speed on the exit, Blaze pushes in a little bit to recover some of the speed he lost. Blaze then sits in Brandon's draft, waiting to make a move. As these guys approach the middle section, Blaze is going fast enough to make a move on Brandon, but opts to pull back and make the move later on. Let's see how they both take the treacherous left-hand section. Blaze takes a really tight line, and Blaze gets a lot of exit speed. Though Brandon took the corner a little bit better, Blaze is square in his draft and is gonna catch him in this uphill section. Let's see what happens. Blaze manages to make a clean pass on Brandon, and if he can hold the lead, it's gonna be a great win for him. But they still have this treacherous right-hand turn coming up. Let's see how they both take it. Brandon opts to slide quite early, pending in the opposite direction. Blaze slides, but unfortunately he washes off the road. I wonder what happened there. Blaze tries to quickly get back on board, but things just aren't working out for him. Eventually he does manage to get things going. If Brandon can make it down without making any mistakes, it's going to be a clean and easy victory for him. But do remember, these two are rivals. Anything can happen when your pride is on the line. And oof, Brandon washes out on the exit of that treacherous right-hand turn and he falls off the road. This is going to be a close one. Blaze doesn't know his luck just yet and he rounds out that treacherous right-hand turn. He sees Brandon in his sights and tucks and aims for him. And unfortunately for Brandon, it's an easy pass for Blaze and he's able to take it all the way to finish line and he wins. This is Blaze's second victory. And that's it guys, thank you for watching our race. Now enjoy some clips of these guys doing some very dumb and very questionable things. Narrator, signing off.